First notable hand, low jack raises to 20. I'm on the button with pocket queens and 3-bet it to 70. Low jack calls. We go to a flop of 10-8-4 rainbow. He checks, I bet 80, and he puts in the check raise to 380 with another 200 back. On a 10 high board with no suits, it's really hard to put him on a set. I don't expect him to play those hands super fast. He can have hands like ace 10, pocket jacks, and the occasional jack 9 and 7-9 suited. So those hands make a lot of sense to me. And I'm just not going to fold queens on this board. So I decide to jam. He snaps and he tables his hand before the run out, which is pocket 10. So he plays top set fast, which was of course unexpected. And the board runs out a 7 and a 9. So I get the opposite of a hot start that I got in the previous night, and we'll need to start this session going uphill. A good news, bad news situation is that the player that doubles up immediately leaves, but I do move to that seat for a better viewing angle. Next one, middle position raises to 25. I call from the low jack with pocket 4s. Hijack puts in a smallish 3-bet to 80. Middle position calls. Closing the action, I call as well as both players have stacks to play for. We go to a flop of jack jack 6 rainbow. Checks to the 3-better and the hijack who bets 150. Middle position quickly folds, and although this is a decent flop for pocket 4s, I just don't want to play the guessing game this early on in the session and just let it go. Next hand, low jack raises to 15, hijack and button call. I'm in the small blind with 6-8 of clubs. All options on the table, folding is fine. Calling is my least favorite option since flatting this hand out of position could put me in some reverse implied situations, and I don't get to realize my equity often enough. I choose the aggressive route and 3-bet it to 90. Low jack, who is the initial raiser, folds. Unfortunately, I don't get this one through though, as hijack jams for 165 total. Folds to me, and I have to call given the money I've put in. And the board runs out ace 9 7, deuce, and the 5 of clubs to give me the rivered straight. So I luck box my way to lock this one up. Next hand, under the gun limps. I limp along from the cutoff with king jack offsuit. Button limps, small blind completes, and big blind knuckles. We go to a flop of king queen jack with 2 clubs and a heart. Action checks to under the gun who bets 15. I call, button calls. 3 ways to a turn of a 6 of clubs, completing the front door flush. Action checks through. Turn comes a deuce of diamonds. Under the gun checks, and I go for some value, $45. Button drops out, and under the gun, who's a vlog supporter named Tyrone, is a non-believer and looks me up. I table, and it's good. Next hand, hijack raises to 25. Cutoff and button call. I've got a good looking hand in the small blind with queen jack of hearts. All 3 of the other players are less than 100 big blinds deep, with the hijack being the shortest with roughly $150. So my thinking is that with the $80 in the middle, I've got a hand that I want to see all 5 cards with, particularly against the hijack since he doesn't have that much to play for, so it won't hurt too bad if I lose and double him up. Perhaps it's flawed thinking, but I'll let you mathematical wizards chime in via the comments down below. I 3-bet it to 125, and aside from the best case scenario being everyone folding, I get the second best option as hijack jams for 147. Other players fold, I call, and we're off to a run out which comes 9-7-5, 7-7. So I'm left with just queen high, and that's no good as he tables ace-10. Straddle pot in this next one, I raise it to 35 with king 10 of diamonds from the hijack. Small blind 3-bets it to 115. Folds back to me, I call. We go to a flop of 10-10-5 with 2 hearts and a club, so I flop gin. He checks, and he's a tighter player, so I think he's weighted towards an overpair or ace-king. I check to play deceptively, hoping to have the board cooperate. We go to a turn of a queen of hearts, so a pretty bad card is he can now have hands that beat me, and if he doesn't, it could be hard to get calls by worse. Nevertheless, he checks, I bet 100, he calls, river comes, a queen of diamonds. So another bad card. He checks, unlikely to get value, but I try anyways. I bet 200 and he folds. Straddle pot again, I raise to 35 from under the gun with 4-5 of clubs. Only the button calls. We go to a flop of king, queen, queen. Bad flop, but I see bet range for 35 and he just lets it go. These next 4 hands happen one after the other. Straddle pot, there are 3 limps. I raise it to 70 from the big blind with ace jack offsuit, low jack, and cutoff call. We go to a flop of ace 8-6 rainbow. I c-bet 150 and take it down. Straddle pot again, folds to me in the small blind with Jack 10 of diamonds, and I raise it to 35. Big blind puts in a raise to 75. Folds back to me, I call. We go heads up to a flop of Queen 9-4 rainbow, so I flop the open-ended straight draw with backdoor diamonds. I check, he fires pot, $150. Not a great price, but I call as we are over 1k deep. Turn comes a 10 of spades, so I pick up a pair to go with the draw. I check, he fires the same bet, 150. I proceed with just a call again. River comes, an ace of clubs, so I brick out. I check, same bet again from him, 150, and I get punished for chasing and lose this one. Straddle is on once more. I raise it to 35 from the button with King 10 of spades. Big blind and straddler call. Go to a flop of Jack 9-3 rainbow. Big blind checks, straddler bets 45. I call with the gutter given the implied odds. Big blind calls as well. We go to a turn of a deuce of diamonds. Big blind checks, straddler bets again, and this time I just let it go. Last hand of the 4 in a row. Under the gun limps. Low jack raises to 40. I'm in the cutoff with pocket jacks and perhaps a bit shook from the last couple hands. I lose the balls to be aggressive and just call. And that brings in the straddler and under the gun. We go to a flop of 6-5-4 with 2 diamonds and a heart. Straddler leads for 50. Under the gun folds, low jack calls, and I call to peel despite the board looking pretty awful for my exact hand. Turn comes a 10 of diamonds, bringing in the front door flush. Straddler continues the aggression for 60. Low jack drops out, and I'm reeling here, so I put in the calling chips. River comes a 3 of hearts, so I don't beat anything anymore if he was somehow betting with a hand such as a pair plus straight draw type hand. He checks, I check it back, and he tables deuce 3 offsuit for the straight. Takes it down with the skinny. And this session is starting to remind me of high school when I was unlucky in the beginning with the ladies, kept chasing thereafter, and just ended up with useless diamonds, like on this board. Last notable hand, straddle pot. I raise it to 35 from the cutoff with King 10 offsuit, button, and straddler call. We go to a flop of King 4-3 with 2 hearts and a club. Checks to me. I fire 60. Button folds. Big blind calls. Turn comes a deuce of hearts, completing some straights and the front door flush. Straddler checks. I continue betting 130. Probably not the best idea, but my thought was to eke out thin value against a hand such as 4-5 or ace-4. It also allows me to maintain the initiative, which should afford me the opportunity to determine the river action should he call this turn. He doesn't though, as he flashes a king of spades. So it's possible that I may have accidentally turned top pair into a bluff if he had a hand like king jack, but probably more likely that he had king junk suited. Nevertheless, nice to actually win a hand. Alright, that's going to do it for the hands. Wasn't my best showing, not just in terms of results, but overall play. Started at 9:30 in the evening, finishing up now at 2:30 in the morning, so a 5-hour session. Got in the game for $2,000, and I cashed out $1,155, so book a loss of $845. Couldn't capitalize on the good performance yesterday or on the previous vlog. And after that pocket queens hand, just couldn't really recover. That really just set the tone for the night. And I tried to play a little bit longer just to try to see if I can find some spots to make a comeback. But the last couple hours, to be honest, wasn't great just because the players were super nitty, to be perfectly honest. And that's not the lineup that you're going to want when you're trying to crawl out of a hole. So packing it up, book a loss, going to try to get some rest, get back after it on the next one. So as always, thanks for the support. I'll see you guys in the next one.